why the Catalina was developed in the run-up to the impending World War II, when the US Navy had recognized that it had a need for a new patrol bomber to counter the potential Japanese menace in the Pacific theater. At that stage, the design was a pure flying boat, as we've already seen, due to the fact that it took off from a hard runway. It was later developed this PBY-5A model, or A stands for amphibian, the aircraft having been given a tricycle wheeled undercarriage. And right from the start, this was an aircraft that showed its potential. The first prototype of the patrol bomber variant achieved a new world distance record for its class of more than 3,400 miles, and that was on its maiden flight. They were used in pretty much all theatres of World War II, initially in the Pacific, then the Battle of the Atlantic and in the Indian Ocean. And in the context of Britain, it was the Catalina's use in the Battle of the Atlantic that truly was a game-changing, to use a modern phrase, part of the Allied effort of the Second World War. And there you see on that orbit the wingtip-mounted floats coming down. The Catalina in RAF service was crucial in bridging what has become known as the Mid-Atlantic or North Atlantic Gap, an area of the North Atlantic in which German U-boats were able to roam pretty much at will, supported by Focke-Wulf FW-200 Condor maritime attack aircraft, out of range of existing land-based platforms. The threat there was that the U-boats were doing, in conjunction with the Condors, tremendous damage to the supply convoys crossing the North Atlantic, keeping Britain supplied. Existing land-based aircraft not being able to do the job, a flying boat was required, and this was where the Catalina came in. They entered RAF service with units stationed in Northern Ireland in 1941. That May, RAF Catalinas, operating from Northern Ireland, spotted the German battleship Bismarck, a key contributor to its eventual sinking by Fairy Swordfish of the Fleet Air Arm.
It's not looking good.
Well, yeah.
I like the positive vibes, but
given that we're on an airfield from which 3 people flew during the Second World War who, for their efforts, were awarded the Victoria Cross, it's worth mentioning that 2 Royal Air Force Catalina pilots were awarded the VC themselves in 1944, both for pressing home attacks against German U-boats while under heavy fire. One of them was flying Officer John Cruikshank of number 210 Squadron. The other was a member of the Royal Canadian Air Force, in fact, Flight Lieutenant David Hornell of number 162 Squadron. Cruikshank's heroism was truly notable. He was hit in 72 places across his body. His navigator was killed, yet still the aircraft was brought back from the middle of the North Atlantic to land at Sullom in the Shetland Islands. That 5-hour flight was mostly carried out by the second pilot, who himself was quite badly injured. Markings on this one represent another of the Catalina's myriad wartime roles, that of an air sea rescue platform. They weren't just used by the US Navy, they were also used by the US Army Air Forces. This one depicts an OA-10A
right, it's starting to rain, so it's getting up earlier, so that's why I wasn't filming anything for the last couple of minutes.
Halesworth in Suffolk towards the very end of this war, which was the earliest the Army Air Forces found they were able to get hold of any Catalinas, such as had been the demand from the US Navy.
I'm going to stop filming this, so